Brew Strong is brought to you by Blickman Engineering, home of the top-tier brewing stand. Visit them online at blickmanengineering.com.
Brewers, it's time for the beer radio you've been looking for. This is the show that dispels myths, tackles the toughest topics, and makes no apologies for geeking out on beer. Hosted by two guys that drink before they think, Jamil Zainasheff and John Palmer. This is Brew Strong.
Hey, howdy, hey, my brew brothers and sisters.
Greetings, cretins.
I didn't give you a chance to swallow your beer. I'm sorry, JP. All right. I was looking at my board, not at you.
And John getting beer delivery service right here to the studio.
Oh,
See,
yeah.
This is what I was saying. Not, you guys, initially you were talking, oh, we'll have like a tap faucet in the studio. It's like, no.
Yeah, have them bring it to us.
Have the fine, lovely staff that you've hired walk them in here, so we can ogle them and
But then I busily
not
stare
have
at
to get
them,
up.
and I make your mic hot while you have a mouthful of beer.
Oh yeah, you do.
It's great for us. I don't know how great it is for all you guys.
Alert.
Please, you were looking at her too, Bevo. I saw you.
She's pretty.
All right. Speaking of pretty, how about that Blickman, John Blickman?
Oh, yeah. That is a pretty man.
That's a pretty man. That's a good-looking man right there.
Yep.
And
Creeper alert.
And Doug's not bad either, really. I mean,
there's a fine piece of man meat if I ever saw one, right there. Yeah.
Wait, who did you just say?
Doug.
Oh, I thought you said Doc.
Oh, no.
Never mind.
No, John Blickman, what he lacks in attractiveness, he makes up in intelligence. I could say that for sure.
Very intelligent man.
Everybody would agree with that statement.
Yes. Well, maybe his wife wouldn't, but
I find him attractive and intelligent.
And his kids may take exception on that too. Come to think of it. Yeah.
He's humorous.
Yes.
Okay, would you at least give me that?
Yes.
Okay.
Very humorous.
There you go. Nice guy.
Again, wife and kids.
Real creative, humorous, and they've put all that energy and creativity into some great brewing equipment. You can check it out at BlickmanEngineering.com. Blickman with two N's. You can also check them out at just about every AHA conference. They go to that and they set up a booth. They've got lots of equipment there, and you can chat with the staff and find out about exactly how the stuff works. Do a lot of touchy-feely with the equipment and it's
a very shiny booth too.
Right. Lots of stainless. But they've been sponsoring this show, so I think the very least you could do is check out their website, maybe send them an email, or say hi to John and his crew and tell them how much you really appreciate that they sponsor this show.
Indeed.
All right, tonight what are we focused on?
What are we doing here?
We're talking. There's a Q&A about yeast. I remember.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeast and yeast starters right now, and we'll also take any questions from the chat room and anybody that happens to call in. At
888-401-BEER, 888-401-2337. Call in. The lovely Bevo is there to answer your calls, and we will see if we can get you on the air and answer your questions.
All righty, shall we get started?
Yes.
All right.
Let's.
All right. Well, let's see. The first question up here is Chris White said that Jamil's yeast calculator was incorrect. What? See question 14 below. If I'm a moron, perhaps someone smarter than me, such as Jamil, could clarify. This is from Mike Johnson, and it's regarding the following statement.
I think I answered this question by Mike Johnson.
It could be. This was from a Homebrew Finds, Adventures in Homebrewing interview that Chris did a while back. Mm-hmm. Basically, it's saying to Chris White that the White Labs products are around 100 billion cells per package. These packages include instructions indicating they're directly pitchable into 5 gallons of wort up to 1060. However, Every brewer of any experience, that would be like Jamil and I, seems to accept as gospel that yeast starters are required for nearly any batch. Jamil's online calculator claims that 100 billion cells are barely enough for 5 gallons at 1034 as opposed to 1060. For example, why, then, has White Labs not marketed a package of 200 or 250 billion cells for home brew use? This would allow homebrewers to brew beers in the meat of the homebrewing space, say 1050 to 1075, without the trouble of making starters for every batch. So let's see, and then Chris goes on to answer. We are actually increasing the number of cells per package to 2.5 to 3 billion cells per milliliter. And laboratory grown yeast won't necessarily follow the pitching rate guidelines since they are very healthy. The pitching rate recommendations traditionally refer to repitched yeast. Also, you are not getting a lot of growth from a starter unless it is of adequate size. So, Jamil, I think it's be good if you would clarify some of these points and give them some context.
It's, people keep forgetting the simple fact that you can pitch a wide range of concentrations of yeast into your beer, and it will ferment.
Yes.
Amazingly, you can put a very tiny amount of yeast into your beer. It will ferment. Now, what are we trying to achieve by setting certain pitching rates? What are we trying to achieve by, controlling how much the yeast is growing and how many cells are there at the end of growth and the environment for the yeast? What are we trying to achieve?
Consistency
of flavor. Ideal beer flavor. So when you change these rates, when you change the amount that the yeast is going to grow, when you change the amount of yeast cells at the end of growth that are there to ferment out a given beer at a certain amount of alcohol, certain environment, certain types of sugars, certain temperatures, anytime you change any of these things, you change the flavor of the beer.
Right.
Now, far be it for me to say what is ideal flavor for a beer, ideal fermentation flavor. Mm-hmm. Some people may want to have the yeast grow a bit more, not attenuate as much, things like that, and develop that kind of beer flavor as their profile.
Which is generally more fruity.
Could be more fruity, higher alcohols, things like this. I was in England and somebody was telling me, England's traditionally, the experience in the last, century has all been, lower alcohol beers and, doing a really great job of developing a lot of flavor in those low alcohol beers and just absolutely wonderful. Some of the greatest beers in the world. However, when they do higher gravity beers, bigger alcohol beers, when they get to like the 10+% range, way too fruity, a lot of esters, a lot of fusel alcohols, brain-splittingly, solventy and things like that. Yeah. Because the same kind of technique that makes a great low-gravity beer does not make a great high-gravity beer. One of the things when White Labs started, and they've upped their cell counts from when they started as well, is homebrewers now are making higher and higher gravity beers as we go. Right. So that's one other change. But so you can pitch a White Labs vial and have it ferment. You can make a starter with the same vial or pitch 2 or 3 of them and have it ferment. Do they taste the same? No. Was it the same yeast? Yes. So what's the difference? Pitching rate.
Right.
Now, I love Chris, and he is a brilliant man and has taught me a massive amount about yeast. However, I disagree with the statement that, I agree with the statement that, the yeast, when it comes out of their lab grown, they're right around 100% viability.
Right.
When I harvest yeast off of my fermenter and repitch it, I'm probably in the mid-90s.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
Okay, there's your difference. However, we got to deal in the realities of the supply chain and how homebrewers are getting the yeast and how things. Now they will take those vials of yeast. They'll keep them cold. When a store orders them, they'll box them up with lots of ice packs, and they'll FedEx it to them. And then it gets to the homebrew shop, and a great homebrew shop will immediately open that box and immediately put it in their fridge and take good care of it. And then a couple of weeks down the road, you buy that vial and
Right.
you take it home. When I took them home, I'd have a cup of ice in my car, and I'd stick them in there and bring them home, all that stuff, right? Even then, I found it hard to find vials that were, that hadn't already dropped into the mid-90s.
Right.
Okay. Now, take into the possibility that UPS took a little longer or FedEx took a little longer to get the product there to the East Coast.
Mm-hmm. Or it sat in the sun in the window
or it sat
at
in
the
the
shop.
sun. Or I've been in shops where there's a box of yeast vials sitting there that have come in, and it's real hot. And I've felt those vials, and they were hot. I mean, they were as hot as, they had reached the ambient temperature in the store.
80 degrees.
And
or
they're
something
sitting
like
there all day before they put them in the fridge. All that's bad for the yeast. It's reducing viability. It's draining the reserves, the glycogen reserves, and things like that the yeast have. So I think when if you're able to get the yeast fresh right from the lab, and you go ahead, yes, absolutely. You've got 5% more viable yeast and probably higher glycogen levels, things like that. But the reality is that you need to make starters. You need to pitch a little bit more. It's much less of an issue if you pitch a little bit more than if you pitch a little too little.
Yeah.
And the beer flavor is going to be more similar. So you can get too low, and your beer flavor not so good, and then it starts getting better, and then it gets to an ideal point, and then you go past that, it's still at the ideal point. It's still there.
Right.
It's still there for a while. Then it starts to kind of drop down because you're getting more acetaldehyde, things like that. Different things start to happen to the fermentation. But it's a ways. So move up into the sweet spot where you're not going to waste your $40 of ingredients by just pitching the one vial. Buy a couple of vials if you don't want to make a starter, but the easiest thing is make a starter. Every batch of yeast you pitch, make a starter.
Right.
That's hopefully that explains. Again, it's a continuum of what you can pitch and the results.
Yeah.
So I don't think either one of us are wrong. I think it's just the way you interpret what you are trying to achieve.
Yeah. As you say, I mean, the pitching rate makes a big difference in the flavor profile of the beer. Anytime you change that, you're going to change the flavor of that recipe. Mm-hmm. There are so many different yeast calculators out there, and all of them are backed up by, trial and error or experimentation. They're backed up by data and people's experience.
Some of them are just number. There's a bunch of number cruncher ones out there.
But anyway, they're guidelines. They're tools. And it's important to understand that.
And you can use any of them.
Yeah.
Use whichever one works for you, and you get good results. Doesn't matter which one. There are lots of free tools out there. Use any one of them, or make your own.
Yeah.
And track your results. And if that number that you used isn't quite right, change the number. Add more. Don't keep sticking with the same thing. No matter what calculator it is, try a little bit more and see if that gets you a better beer. And once you get to that point and that rate, that's your rate. It doesn't matter what anybody else's rate. That's your rate. Use that rate yourself. Make your own calculator or adjust any of them or find the calculator that works for you.
Yeah.
People are so fixated on tiny amounts of, yeast difference. So a bunch of people, reverse engineered what I had done in the calculator. My calculator is based off of
your
lab work done over 6 months. And verified by Greg Doss at Yeast. He did his own, and our curves matched.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't know what else to tell you. So people have reverse engineered, and they're like, well, your numbers don't turn out quite, the same as my numbers. It's like, I don't care what your math is telling you. And people are like, well, theirs is off by, a substantial amount, like, 10%. Who cares?
Yeah.
You use either one. The point is, you got to brew beer. You got to taste it. And if it doesn't matter what the number said, it's what the beer tastes like.
Yeah.
And you may have to, increase by 50%. Who knows?
This is what I tell a lot of people too. I mean, we're brewers. We're not bean counters. You have to use your tools. Well,
1,
true.
2.
But you've got to take your tools and look at them as tools, and then make a decision, brew the beer, and make a judgment from there.
Right.
I mean, I don't know if I've discussed this on air before, but last spring, Jamil, your triple IPA, name escapes me at the moment, but I was drinking that for the first time at launch, and I was amazed. I thought, well, this is a really good double IPA kind of style. And I'm thinking, this is probably 6.5%, 7%. And Jamil, you said this is like 11.5%. And it's like, it did not taste like 11.5%. There was nothing hot about it. And I asked you how you did that, and you said, yeast management, pitching rate control. This is a man that knows how to brew high gravity beers by managing his yeast, managing his pitching rate, so that you get a beer that has the flavor you want.
Well, and here's one of the things. And people think, oh, well, he's telling homebrewers that to sell more, White Labs or Y Yeast or whatever. When we order our yeast from White Labs for a 30-barrel pitch of beer, I order their 60-barrel pitch.
Okay.
And it's expensive. I'll tell you that. And they asked me, why do you do that? The 30 will ferment it out just fine. Like, it doesn't. It ferments it out just fine, but it does not taste the same.
Yeah.
And
for the flavor you want 60.
I need a consistent product. I can't pitch that on the first batch and send out that first batch and then repitch and send out the next batch and have it taste different. I can't have more esters and alcohols and things like that and less attenuation. I've got to have that thing fermented out the same way every time, as close as possible every time, so customers don't notice.
How come you did it that way on the first batch? How come you did?
Because I knew it wasn't enough yeast.
Okay.
For the way you expect the beer to taste.
Right.
And
I get our yeast. They package it up and then it goes overnight. We get it the very next day.
Yeah.
And for us, I need that. So I'm not saying Chris or White Labs or Y Yeast or any of these places are wrong. I'm saying those will absolutely ferment out beer, make a fine beer.
Yeah.
But flavor wise, it's not the same as if you pitch at a higher rate.
Yeah. And that is up to you as a brewer to determine what is
exactly
correct.
Right. Make the best beer you can. Your perception of what's a great beer is going to affect that. All right, let's do this to take a short break. When we come back, we will get to more of your questions right after this.
Tonight is the night.
We bring the creature to life, Dr. Blickmanstein?
Yes, J.P. Gore. Everything is perfect for my next fermented creation.
But, Doctor, the storm is too far away. We'll never have enough power to isomerize the creature's alpha acid.
Yes, J.P. Gore, we will. For I have in my possession the Tower of Power.
Blickman's new Tower of Power is the evolution of automation. Control hot liquor, sparge, and mash temps like a pro. The Tower of Power is a high-quality gas-fired rim system that works with your current brewing setup. With ultra-precision, the tower can hold your mash to 1/2 degree Fahrenheit. Precision and repeatability. The Tower of Power is the answer to automatic, fast ramp times. See more at BlickmanEngineering.com. Bring your next creation to life with the Tower of Power.
Dr. Blickmanstein, with the Tower of Power, you can probably give me an afternoon at the pub to enjoy a pint.
Don't be silly, J.P. Gore. We have beer to brew.
Since the first time the Brewing Network microphones turned on, More Beer was behind it. More Beer sponsors the programming on the BN because, like you, they love brewing. And like the Brewing Network, they love sharing their knowledge. Morebeer.com isn't just a website to place your next equipment or ingredient order. Morebeer.com also gives you access to free beer information that will make you a better brewer. Go to morebeer.com and click into the Learning Center. You'll find podcasts, technical facts, video tutorials, and more, including access to The Buzz, More Beer's social network of more than 5,000 members. And some of them might even be crazier about beer than you are. Get over to morebeer.com today and take advantage of The Buzz, the forum, the Learning Center, and make sure you're signed up to receive the newest More Beer catalog. More Beer, bringing you absolutely everything for beer making. When I order a beer, I want my server to know more about it than I do. I want someone who enjoys good beer and loves helping others enjoy it too. I want someone who knows how to pour a perfect pint for every beer style. I want a Cicerone.
The Cicerone Certification Program is creating the type of people who help you enjoy great beer. Home brewers and craft beer lovers know beer is more flavorful and complex than ever, and it takes some serious knowledge to store and serve beer right. Cicerones know beer. There are 3 levels in the Cicerone program: Certified Beer Server, Certified Cicerone, and Master Cicerone. Cicerones are truly the sommeliers of beer. The best beer locations have a Certified Cicerone on staff. Relaxed and unpretentious, Cicerones are tested on storing and serving beer, beer styles, flavor and tasting, the brewing process and ingredients, and pairing food with beer. Learn more about your next beer guide at cicerone.org. Certified Cicerone, because it takes top talent to present a perfect pint.
Back to the 2 guys that know how to turn beer into beer. This is Brew Strong.
All right, we're back. We're talking yeast and starters.
Yes. And our good friend Nicholas Madaffer asked about pitching rate for Brett. He was greetings. Firstly, I'm amazed and in awe of the work both of you guys do. No, it's not what he says. What he said. He says, I'm amazed at work your teams have performed to make homebrewing this excellent hobby. Fantastic research. Okay. So anyway, please continue Brew Strong. Please being the awesome guys that you are. We'll keep working on that. Mm-hmm. He's wondering about the optimum pitching rate for WLP 644 fermented IPA.
644 is Brett strain?
Apparently. A Brett Trois IPA recipe?
Brett Twat, yes.
Yes. Anyway, this blog post lists a recipe citing optimum rate between an ale and lager pitching rate, about 150 billion cells per liter. However, if in the yeast book by White and Zainab Chef, they cite a rate of 200,000 cells per milliliter. Mm-hmm. Actually, that's 200 billion cells per milliliter, something like that. 200 million. Mm-hmm. Million, billion, whatever. I'd like to make 100% Brett Trois beer like the one referenced above, but more fruity than a horse blanket, but have concerns about the off flavors which can develop from over-pitching. I'm also unsure about the number of cells per milliliter present in my single vial of WLP 644. And
all right. So one is the amount of Brett cells in and I cannot say this for certain, but I thought that they were much less in the vials than they were for regular ale or lager yeast. I think something like 30 to 50 billion instead of like 100 to 110. Mm-hmm. So I believe that might be the case, and might be the case still. I don't know for a fact, though. The other thing is, it's like we were just talking before the break. It depends on what kind of flavor you're looking for. Now, when you're looking to add Brett and get all this big Brett character in a beer, where people want all this tremendous Brett flavor, if you pitch too much, Brett is a yeast, and it turns out, quite clean tasting and very little Brett character.
Right.
So one of the reasons you really ratchet down and stress out the Brett is to get more Brett character. And the rate that we recommend in the book is the rate I believe that Vinny recommends and a bunch of other people recommend. Mm-hmm. And what I find when we use that real low rate is we do develop this Brett flavor, and when you use too much, you get almost no Brett flavor. So on the session, there was some brewery that sent in a couple of 100% Brett fermented beers, right? And I remember, people were saying, "Oh, it's like, I don't taste any Brett at all.
I think that was Chad Jacobson, Crooked Stave Brewing. They do a lot of 100% Brett fermentations.
Right.
And and it doesn't taste like a Brett beer.
Right. So what are you trying to achieve? If you're trying to achieve, clean, or relatively clean ale-like fermentation, then the lager pitching rate might be the way to go. Right. You'll minimize any flavor impact from the Brett that way. But if the people throwing Brett in IPAs, I don't know. I'm not a big fan. Probably just because I haven't tasted any real good ones yet. Isn't the purpose of adding Brett to get Brett flavor? If it is, then lower the rate.
Yeah. Well,
if you're trying to get a clean ale-like fermentation, then probably just use a clean ale-like yeast.
Yeah. I think, a Brett IPA to me is kind of an oxymoron because you've got this sour and bitter. Mm-hmm. They don't really go well together.
Well, and Brett doesn't necessarily always. I wish we had when we go to the brewery, you can taste the Taffel Bully.
That's true.
The Brett just gives it quite a bit of Brett character and a firm bittering. There's no sour.
Yeah. That's true.
And that's a relatively low amount of Brett.
Yeah. Yeah, but I mean, 100% Brett IPA. I mean, to me, that sounds like some conflicting goals,
right,
in terms of the beer flavor.
Right. If you too much oxygen, things like that to your Brett, it'll develop some acetic.
Yeah.
And that's totally inappropriate. So if somebody's getting that kind of souring from Brett, then that's totally wrong.
Yeah. But not to discourage you as a brewer, but be aware that there are these different nuances that will be affected by your pitching rate.
Right. I like all the creativity, but sometimes I feel like people are just doing things to do things because it sounds popular or it sounds, great, and they haven't really noodled out the reason why they're not doing it because this flavor is going to do this to this beer. This is how I'm going to build and layer the flavors and why this is going to taste like a great beer. They're like, that sounds cool. I'm just going to do that.
Yeah. It's that Jurassic Park
that's fine
syndrome.
Too, especially because, in the homebrew scale, you brew 5 gallons of something. If it tastes like crap, throw it away.
Yeah.
Don't do it again or, learn from it. That's fine. Yeah. But, you get this thing where people are just trying to do too much sometimes. All right.
Next, we have What Exactly is Proper Pitching Rate by Charles Simchick. And let's see if I can find the crux of the question here. Okay. As I understand, the common wisdom is to use 0.75 million viable cells, blah, 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 based on George Fixed. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I also have the understanding that yeast metabolism in the presence of sufficient sugars and oxygen will preferentially absorb the oxygen and reproduce and will shift towards fermentation only after the oxygen is depleted.
It's kind of more of a continuum.
Yeah. Now,
what was discovered.
I make a yeast so assuming I started to grow the proper amount of yeast cells for my wort, gravity, is that proper amount based on a balanced biochemical reaction to allow all of the yeast cells to have just enough sugars to efficiently complete their metabolic cycle, or does the proper pitching rate assume that there is also an additional growth phase for the yeast within the wort before it can move on to fermenting that wort? In the first case, why would you need to worry about aerating, oxygenating the wort at all?
Yeah, so even after a starter, what you're putting into your beer should be at the rate of, for an ale, your average ale, 0.75. At that rate, and so they're going to experience a growth phase in the beer.
Right.
A lot of that, helps determine flavor, develops flavor, and is an important part of fermentation.
Yeah, if you pitch too much yeast, the over pitching thing, with almost no growth taking place as a result in that wort, you will get very little of what we consider to be beer flavor out of that fermentation. You won't get the ester profiles. You won't get some of the... it's not going to taste like we expect that beer to taste if you overpitch.
Right. All right. A great place to learn more about things like this
is the Yeast Book.
Yeast Book. But who puts out the Yeast Book?
Brewers Publications.
Brewers Publications. Big part of...
Brewers Publications is the American Homebrewers Association and the Brewers Association.
Right. There you go. And a lot of the authors for Brewers Publications comes from the AHA membership, like you and I.
That's right.
Randy Mosier.
Ray
Daniels. A number of us, all big AHA guys. And the reason is the AHA is a great organization.
It is indeed.
They're, not only do they provide you all these great benefits for your membership dollar, you get the AHA rally, you get the pub discount program, you get the AHA conference, you get the Zymergy magazine, which we've both written for, and a lot of great information in there, really well done, and the members only session at GABF and things like that. There's a lot of great stuff that comes along with membership, but the most important thing, I think, is you got an organization that's actually looking out for homebrewers.
Yeah.
When's the last time somebody looked out for your rights to do what you enjoy, what you love? So, it's nice having kind of a little bit of a watchdog there that they pay attention to all the legislation going through.
Right. And, short of the NRA, you're not going to find a more involved organization.
And they kill less people, probably.
Yeah.
Please. That's true. With the alcohol, we probably kill far more. Somebody was asking me, they dropped their cell phone in their beer, and they were saying, hey, it was in for 3 or 4 minutes before I could fish it out. What do you think got into the beer from the phone? And do you think it's toxic? The battery, the circuits, things like that. And I'm like, the most toxic thing in your beer is the alcohol. Right. And it kills people all the time, but nobody thinks twice about drinking it. That's a pretty significant poison. And, and I told them, I said, don't worry about it. The yeast probably took care of most of the stuff that's in there. It's probably bound up in the yeast and the protein, and, it goes with the trub. Anything that'll bond with the fats in your body will bond with the fats that are and proteins that are left over in the beer, I would think.
Yeah.
So, I would just drink it. I wouldn't worry about it. But
there's a question we got here.
Alcohol is the problem.
Yeah. There is a question here in the miscellaneous pile that cracked me up.
All right. Well, let's do this.
Okay.
Well, you can find that while we're taking a short break, and when we come back, we'll hear about the question that cracked John up right after this.
A few things happened 30 years ago.
ARPANET migrated to TCP/IP, and the Internet was born. Revenge of the Jedi was renamed Return of the Jedi and opened in theaters. Mila Kunis and Emily Blunt were born, beginning a rad fantasy in my mind.
But all of that pales next to the fact that HopTech opened its doors and began blowing homebrewers right out of their mash tuns. HopTech doesn't fuck around. Real people shipping awesome shit straight to you. Their new website is fast and easy to navigate, or just call 800-379-4677 and let badass bitch Jade and the gadget guy Roberto blow their warm load of customer service all over you. So visit the site or visit the store in Dublin, California, and support those that support you. Get your brewing on at hoptech.com.
Downtown Joe's, where everyone is welcome, especially if you like drinking and tasting beer. Head brewer Colin Kaminsky's favorite beers are the Tantric IPA and the Double Secret Probation IPA. But you'll have loads of others to choose from when you redeem your exclusive Brewing Network savings. Downtown Joe's is the best brewery destination and the hottest night spot in Napa. Colin invites all homebrewers and fans of craft beer to stop by and enjoy the great food and beer. Whether you're in the mood for riverside dining, live music, or just hanging out at the bar to meet a person of the opposite sex or a person of the same sex, Downtown Joe's has exactly what you're looking for. And now just mention the Brewing Network to receive $1 off your beer at Downtown Joe's. That's right, take $1 off every one of their great selection of craft beers, including the Lazy Summer Wheat, Golden Thistle Porter, and the Triple Dog Dare You. Come to Downtown Joe's and enjoy the laid-back atmosphere of Napa's best brew pub. Visit downtownjoes.com right now for current beers, the live music schedule, or to drool over their delicious menu items. Downtown Joe's, your neighborhood brew pub where everyone is welcome.
The 21st Amendment.
Watch out!
Do you like beer? They make beer.
Watch out!
Do you like friends and fun? They make friends and fun.
Watch out!
Do you still like to have a good time? The 21st Amendment.
Watch out!
The 21st Amendment in San Francisco, located at 563 2nd Street, 2 blocks from the building where baseball is seen and played. Try their beers in the pub or try them in the can, featuring
Monk's Blood.
Made with real monk.
Watch out!
So why not have the best time of your life? Go to the 21A and Sean O'Sullivan will personally greet you with a can of
Monk's Blood. The 21st Amendment.
Watch out!
This advertisement is not in any way affiliated nor associated with the 21st Amendment Bar and Pub, nor its subsidiaries or affiliates. This telecast is not copywritten by the 21st Amendment for the private use of the Brewing Network. Any use of this telecast without Jamil Zainashev's consent is prohibited. Suck it, JP.
Hey, my brewing brothers and sisters. This is Jamil Zainashev, and I love a bold, hoppy beer, one that spits resin in your face and makes you cry, Uncle. There are a lot of great hoppy beers out there, but at Heretic, we want to make something as bold, dank, and resiny as possible. We use hops at every chance we get, including multiple dry hop additions. The result is Heretic Evil Cousin. This light golden, 8% Imperial IPA has an easy malt character that helps take the edge off the massive bittering, but it takes a back seat to the in-your-face hop character. We make sure this beer finishes dry so the hops can jump out and slam you in the taste buds. If you can't get enough hoppy goodness, Evil Cousin is your cup of tea. Cheers.
Williams Brewing is your online resource for prompt delivery of quality home brewing supplies. Since 1979, Williams Brewing has offered the finest equipment and the freshest ingredients, backed by the best customer service in the business. Do you like to mash using efficient fly sparging, but would like an easy way to heat your strike and sparge water? Enter the new Brewer's Edge electric mash water heater, a plug-in, anywhere, precisely controlled heater for strike and sparge water. Ditch the fumes and second burner and make mashing easy. Go to williamsbrewing.com today and browse their vast selection. That's williamsbrewing.com. Orders placed by 4 p.m. Pacific Time weekdays ship the same day. Brewing is easy the Williams way.
Back to the beer guys that make other beer guys look like wine guys. Brew Strong.
All right. Talking yeast.
Yep.
The yeasty beasties, yes.
Just before the break, we got distracted, or I got distracted, I suppose, by a cell phone and the beer.
Right.
And we got this other question here that surprised me. Where'd it go? Oh, yes. Nicholas Lance asked about, there's a lot of conflicting information on the forums about the safety of plastics in brewing. I would like to use more plastics in my process because they are cheap and easy to work with. However, I can never get a clear answer of what is safe to use and at what temperature. What can you guys tell me about that? Well, my off-the-cuff response to that is that unless you can smell plastic, in the wort or when you add the wort to the plastic, it's not going to harm you. Even if you can smell it, it's really not going to harm you. There is not enough chemical in these things. I mean, in modern,
plastics
coolers,
with the plasticizers and all that.
I mean,
if you, and especially like coolers that are used to put food in them. They're fine. There's nothing you can go ahead and use those for brewing. Don't worry about it. Anything designated for food or beverage, it's fine. Even though you're like, well, the food's in a wrapper and the cans, but the cooler manufacturer can't count on that. So the plastics that they use are fine. Same thing. Anything that's food grade, you're perfectly okay using. Even though it's only food grade to a certain temperature, don't worry about it. You're going to be just fine. There was a great thing on Basic Brewing Radio. Did a series of 3 things with a toxicologist that does. He studies products for how toxic they are, and they went through it. And essentially, if it's food grade, don't worry about it. If it's not food grade, avoid things that are colored, like the bright orange buckets at Home Depot. They have a food grade version that's white. Use that one. It's like $1 more. Use that one. Don't use colored plastics. Just use the white or the translucent plastics. You'll be fine.
Even if you use the orange one, I mean, it's not like there's a toxic amount of plasticizer. I mean, we're
for an adult on a normal diet, a healthy normal diet, you'd be fine. I wouldn't give it to children. I wouldn't give it to somebody that has any sort of complications. But again, just pick food grade, and then don't worry about it.
Yeah, we're pretty robust animals. We're not going to be taken down by.
You can take in lead, everything else. I mean, as long as everything else is going fine for you, you'll be fine.
Yeah. The conspiracy theories aside, I mean, this stuff is not that hazardous.
Right. If you get a tumor, it's from your iPhone 6. All right. Next question.
All right. Let's see. Where are we? Okay. Okay. Jamil, thanks for all your great brewing content available to all brewers. I'm from Auckland, New Zealand, and have noticed that craft brewery beer is now often packaged in cans. Do you think that these breweries have considered all the ramifications of this decision?
John, what are you leaning 10 feet away from the mic for?
Sorry.
Come on, baby.
Got a frog in my throat. Anyway, he goes, if my preferred beer is packaged in a can, for folks with facial hair, cans can be positively dangerous. Nothing brings a tear to the eye quicker than a mustache hair caught in the opening tab of a can as you take a good sip of beer. So, Jamil, have you considered this with Heretic's cans and plans to can?
Right. So this has what to do with yeast?
There's yeast in a mustache.
Did we lose the yeast questions?
It was in the wrong place in the pile, actually.
Okay. Yeah. I think that it's not an issue because you pour the beer into a glass and then you drink it.
Yeah.
That's how I envision people consuming our products. So there you go.
There you go.
You're not going to pull a heady topper and put on the can, consume direct from the can? They say to do that.
Well,
What? Really?
Depends on the beer you're making, I guess. The beers we make, we like them consumed from a proper glass.
What if the rim of the glass is chipped and my mustache hair gets caught on that as I try to drink from the glass? Then what? You thought about that, huh, smart guy?
Right.
That little cut might cause a cold sore.
Turn into a tumor. Can devour your brain. All right, next question.
Okay. Now, here's one from a guy that has recently started making yeast starters.
Uh-huh.
And he's saying that he used a stir plate with the WLP 001.
Mm-hmm.
Did it according to your pitching calculator and added some yeast nutrient.
Mm-hmm.
But he said he tasted the beer, the decanted liquid, after he pitched the yeast from the starter, and it tasted kind of tart, like a sour beer. Mm-hmm. He's asking, is this normal? Mm-hmm. This is my first starter, and I'm not sure what to expect. So can we comment on this?
Yeah, I mean, if it's truly like sour, then there's probably a problem. But you can get all sorts of strange compounds into your starters. You get a lot of acetaldehyde, things like that can come across as tart or
strange,
off.
Yeah,
you're mixing oxygen in the whole time, and it tends to be warm temperatures, things like that.
Yeah, starter beer doesn't taste the same as the actual beer.
It's missing a lot of the other things, the specialty malts and hops and things like that. So, yeah, probably not a problem. If it's truly sour or buttery or something like that, then there might be a problem.
Okay, our next question comes from Scott Cooper. I'll get my face up here on the mic. After having my yeast starter on a stir plate for 10 hours, I take the yeast off and take it to my brewing location. It takes about 20 minutes to travel. Should I then put the yeast back on the stir plate or just let it sit until I pitch it in about 8 hours? I'm worried that what the O2 uptake will be after that 20-minute break.
Yeah, I saw this question earlier, and the O2 uptake after the break, I wouldn't worry about that. I mean, that's the yeast will consume whatever little oxygen gets in through the stir plate. And I don't think it matters a whole lot here or there. In this example, whether you do one or the other. If it were me, I would go ahead and put it back on the stir plate, for another 8 hours. If you're 10 hours in, you really haven't done all the growth, probably. So I would just put it back on the stir plate and let get the maximum growth you could.
Oh, I understood.
Because he said 10 hours, and then he moves it, and then he's got another 8 hours before he pitches.
Okay. So what's the total time for yeast growth on that starter typically, do you think?
It depends on how much yeast you put in, what the starter volume was, gravity, temperature, oxygen, a lot of other things. Generally it could be anywhere like 12 to 36 hours, 12 to 24, it depends on what you're doing, but generally 10 isn't quite enough. 18's plenty.
Okay. So what we're saying is that he's done 2/3 of the growth on his starter at 10 hours. Mm-hmm. Then he takes that starter somewhere else, get it ready for pitching. So put it back on the stir plate for another period of time before pitching.
And when I responded to him, probably if it were me, what I would do is make my starter the day before.
Yeah.
Let it go full completion, or even the day before that. Go full completion. Let the yeast settle out.
Mm-hmm.
Then the day of brewing, carry that over there. Decant off the
beer,
spent liquid off the top, and then add a little bit of fresh starter wort to it. Carry that over and use that as pitch that.
Okay. Yeah.
Without the starter, and then you've fully let them go, and it'll be nice and ready to rock and roll when you pitch it. Speaking of pitching it, have you ever tried some of the fine tools at AdamandEve.com?
No, I can't say that I have. I haven't had a need of that sort of thing in the last several years. So
that is that depressing for you, huh?
Boring.
Yeah, well, maybe you ought to go to AdamandEve.com and mix it up. Like, get yourself a few toys to mix things up, make things a little more exciting in the boudoir.
Yeah, there you go. Spread it. Put some.
I really don't want to imagine what's going on in the Palmer boudoir.
Yeah, me either.
Really, I mean,
apparently it ain't much.
It ain't much, and if it was, I mean, John naked, no. Not gonna.
I'm picturing actually a bowl of popcorn over here, some pretzels, and Dr. Pepper. Yeah, that would about cover it. Yeah.
A book, a nap.
Yeah, there we go.
Very good. Well, you could probably get some of those things at our fine sponsor, Adam and Eve, AdamandEve.com. What you'll do is use the offer code Jamil, Jamil. You're going to pick one item. You're going to get that for 50% off when you enter that offer code Jamil, Jamil.
I wonder, do they give you a different item if you put Scott instead of Jamil?
You don't get the discount, and you don't get the free extra item. You don't get this free shipping. You don't get crap when you enter Scott. Enter Jamil.
You don't get any like redhead porn, you know?
No. But I'll tell you what, when you enter the offer code Jamil, you get to choose. The only thing you're going to pay for is the one item at 50% off. Then you're going to get to choose 3 free adult DVDs, and you could. I'm sure they got a redhead category there. You can choose from genres such as anal, amateur, Asian, big breasts, big butts, bisexual, chunky, co-eds, fetish, gay, interactive, POV, lesbian, MILFs, etc.
This is the first time, Bevo has been in there talking with her girlfriend, and now she put on her headset, I think, just for this live read, right?
I didn't put it on just for this, but I put it on and I was like, oh, we're at this again. It's just so impressive to me how quickly you read them. I wish Becca could have heard.
I'll do it for her privately later on.
You know what? That'd be great.
Plus, you're going to get a free extra toy, their free extra gift that they're going to give you, and free shipping. So use the offer code Jamil, Jamil. You get all the money you're going to part with is 50% off on one item, and then you get the free shipping, the free gift, and the 3 free DVDs, all by using that offer code at adamandeve.com. And you can even do it mobile.
Mobile, yeah.
There you go. So you could be in the large stall at the Hop Grenade, tapping your foot, and also on your phone at adamandeve.com.
You could be, but please don't. Our poor staff, they got to clean the thing.
Hey. Well, it's a little bit of bodily secretions between friends.
It's better than throwing up, right?
Yeah, I guess when you put it that way.
Volume-wise, yeah. Right. There you go. All right. Let's take a short break. When we come back, we'll answer a couple more questions right after this.
And now, Northern Brewer presents What If Homebrewers Ruled the World?
Ladies and gentlemen, if you'll follow me, I will lead you into the gallery area. Now, the first piece up for sale today is a Jamil Zainasheff original, a bottle of 1997 vintage Evil Twin.
I see.
A bidding for this one-of-a-kind piece will start at £7,000. And if you'll continue to follow me, ladies and gentlemen, I can show you a rather abstract piece from Bay Area brewer Justin Crossley. It's a German Doppelbock entitled Justin's Giant Bock. The brewer's notes here indicate that this beer had excellent mouthfeel.
That's just a crazy dream. Or is it? With Northern Brewer, a thirsty nation can craft its own ale and lager for the greater good of mankind. Northern Brewer, the home of superior customer service and the finest selection of home brewing goods for the future.
Hi, I'm Jamil Zainasheff, and in addition to my work on the Brewing Network, I write the Style Profile column in every issue of Brew Your Own magazine.
Hi, I'm Sean Paxton, and when I'm not prepping for the Home Brewed Chef on the Brewing Network, you can find me writing articles on how to cook with your home brew for Brew Your Own magazine.
Greetings, cretins. This is John Palmer, and when I'm not writing for Brew Your Own, I'm reading it.
John Palmer, Sean Paxton, Jamil Zainasheff. If you love listening to them on the Brewing Network, you'll love reading their articles, tips, and recipes in the pages of Brew Your Own magazine. Join Jamil, John, and Sean 8 times a year in Brew Your Own. And when you subscribe to BYO on the Brewing Network website, half of your subscription price goes right back to the BN to support great beer and food programming. So sign up for Brew Your Own magazine through the BN website today so you can listen and read your way to better homebrew.
Have you ever dreamed of attending the World Brewing Academy? This year, thanks to Lalamond and Danstar, one lucky brewer will make that dream a reality for free. Lalamond and Danstar invite you to enter the Beer School 2015 contest. One lucky grand prize winner will receive fully paid tuition to the 2015 World Brewing Academy web-based concise course in brewing technology worth almost $4,000. From now until December 13th, 2014, every Danstar Yeast packet you use is your ticket to enter. Visit DanstarYeast.com for the details and to print your official entry form. There's no limit on the number of times you can enter, so get brewing with Danstar and get your entries in to the Danstar 2015 Beer School Contest. Whether you want to build your home brewing skills or build a career as a professional brewer, this course will change the way you think of beer and brewing. Enter at DanstarYeast.com and get the dry yeast advantage with Danstar and Lalamond Premium Brewing Yeast and enter to win.
Hi, I'm Jason Harris, the proud owner here at Keystone Homebrew Supply. We're thrilled to be entering our 20th year of supplying this great industry. And to show you, the Brewing Network Army, how much we appreciate your support, we're offering you 10% off your first order on our website, KeystoneHomebrew.com. Just use coupon code BNARMY at checkout, and I'll get your order out the same day. My goal at Keystone Homebrew Supply has always been to have a complete supply of everything a brewer could want. When you place your order online or when you come into our store, it's our goal to have everything on your list and more. One aspect of KeystoneHomebrew.com that we're really excited about is the ability to fulfill customers' exact grain bills. Do you hate to wait? Keystone Homebrew Supply can get your precious yeast and hops to you within just one day if you live between Connecticut and Virginia, and within 2 days east of the Mississippi. KeystoneHomebrew.com. Coupon code BNARMY. I'm Jason Harris, and I approve this message.
Back to your hosts, Jamil Zainasheff and John Palmer. Putting the testicles in technical. This is Brew Strong.
All right, we're back. Wrapping up a fine show about yeasts and starters and things like that. I believe Bevo has a question in the chat. You know, when we do these shows, we base a lot of them off of email. You send in any question to brewstrong@thebrewingnetwork.com. But, you know, you can listen live and you can ask questions. You get in the chat from the website, and it's all free. You don't even need a password or sign up for an account or any of that crap. You just, you know, click in and type whatever name you want and start interacting. You can ask questions during the show. And you can even call in 888-401-BEER and do it that way. But what's that question we got, Bevo?
Well, I just got another one, but for the first one, speaking of any name you want, this question is from...
Any name you want.
Guy Brush 3 Wood.
At least he's got wood, yeah.
3 Wood, yep.
3 Wood, yes. Okay. Is there any way to... Whoop, lost it. Is there any way to predict variability in jars of rinsed yeast? I did a starter with one of these brews back that didn't work. Had to do a whole new starter with fresh yeast.
Variability or viability?
I'm sorry, viability.
Viability. Now it makes sense. To predict viability is based off a lot of factors. The beer that you harvested from, you know, how you harvested, what cut of yeast you got, how long it's been sitting, at what temperature, what strain it is. Some of them die very quickly. You know, we use our yeast immediately. When I was homebrewing, I like to use it within a week. 2 weeks I consider was absolute maximum. You can always make a starter and see if it goes, and that gives you a good sign that, you know, your yeast might be fine. But as far as viability, there's a number of ways to check for viability. You know, the quickest and simplest, I think, is just to take whatever you're going to brew with, throw it into an appropriate size, you know, bit of starter wort, and see if it kicks up by brew time or not.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, sounds right.
All right. Nothing to add? Okay. Yeah, you got a second question, Beef?
Oh, I don't think this one is a question for you, but maybe you can answer. They want to know, he's from Scotland, and he wants to know if Adam and Eve ships free internationally.
I don't know. I would probably domestic.
Yeah. I would imagine it's domestic as well, but I will look further into this and get back to you.
I wonder if they at least give some sort of discount for international shipping if you use the offer code.
Or it could be it's under a different company name. I mean, it may be Wallace and Gromit over in Scotland as opposed to Adam and Eve.
Wallace and Gromit. Penis and Gromit. We, let's see here. Yeah, I don't know. Free shipping on your entire order is all they say in my copy.
Probably not, but it's worth a try.
Yeah. And how much could it be otherwise?
Yeah.
There you go. You could celebrate the non-departure of Scotland, I guess, from the UK or from England.
Yeah. I
guess. Depending on which side you're on, or you could soothe your sorrows with some
The lead up
lube.
to that question at the election was, I mean, it seemed kind of crazy to me. I couldn't understand why the Scots would want to separate from the UK at this point in time.
Passion. It's what animates people. There's no logic to it.
Okay, that's a good point.
Hard to say. I got
obviously
I got
we're
nothing
not there.
either way of the argument. But at least they it's nice to have the opportunity to choose.
That is very true.
I think that's important.
Yeah.
Regardless of what the decision was, I think it's important that they have the opportunity to decide for themselves.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So, there you go. Let's see. What time do we have here? Are we all done? Have we finished up, Mr. Producer Man?
Yes.
Okay. Well then, if you enjoy the show, make sure you check out our fine sponsors. Adam Eve's great, but that Blickman Engineering, like I said, that's a good-looking man right there.
That's right.
And he's funny, and he's intelligent, and he's very creative. So go to his website, blickmanengineering.com, Blickman with 2 N's. They've got lots of great stuff there and interesting information on all their products. You can also go to the conference, check them out there, send them an email. They love their customers. They love homebrewers. So if they get a chance to talk to you, they love that too. So maybe you've got an idea for a great new product you want to see them come out with. Throw an email.
Yeah.
Who knows? They're always looking for interesting things, and if it's something that'll improve your brew day, they will be very interested in it.
That's right.
Speaking of interesting, check out that stuff at the Brewing Network store. BrewingNetwork.com/store. They got hats. They got growlers. They got
books and glasses.
Books and koozies and banana hammocks and adult DVDs and dildos and lube.
Now you're just lying.
Hey, we're just filling time. Sorry.
No, I mixed up the Brewing Network with Adam and Eve. I'm sure there's more cursing going on at the Brewing Network than there is at Adam and Eve. Yeah, there you go. So, anyways, if you like to support that sort of thing, go to thebrewingnetwork.com/store and buy all sorts of goodies. Anything you buy, the profits go directly to the bottom line of the Brewing Network and help support shows like this. Until then, everybody, brew strong.
Brew strong.